Well, probably none of you suffers from communication overload more than me, so I'm speaking from my own experience. For me, one of the most difficult challenges is in rooms full of people. To me, that's communication overload. I have apparently very sensitive low level hearing, low tone hearing. So when I'm in a room full of people, it sounds like a bunch of lions roaring at me or something, and I have a very difficult time focusing just on one person. I watch their lips and look at their face, but I've never been able to be in a bar and talk to people where it's really loud. I'm screaming and I really don't hear them, so I just pretend that I know what they're saying. So I know that feeling very well. Also, I don't do well with details. I mean, I succeed in managing details, but I don't like them. It's wearing on me. When I took this job initially in 1997, I had the neat idea that I would use my smartphone to stay really connected with my emails. And that ended up meaning that I was checking my email constantly and, thumb typing things, and just I really had to distress over having a large queue of emails to respond to, and a sense that there might be something urgent in those emails. So I needed some time management skills, and that was really a big key for me to diminish my communication overload that was occurring in my life, and really making the quality of my life less and making me less effective in the workplace. So what I did is just had some scheduled times. Well, I turned off my notifications on my phone so that it wouldn't just, ding all day. That was creating anxiety for me because I felt like I needed to look. After all, it could be a ding, a text message from my wife or my kids or something. So I know you can change the sounds, but that wasn't enough. Just hearing something or feeling a vibration made me want to check. And I walked around knowing I have something pending. So, but my life, there's always something pending. And so I need to have times in the day where I specifically set aside to go through those. I'm much more efficient that way. And I can handle the information one at a time. Normally when I go to my emails, I make a practice of going to the first one received, which is not on the top of the queue, so that there's an order to it. Because I've learned the hard way, like you probably have, that if you start at the top, the most recent message, you might respond to something and then find that it had already been answered earlier on in the string. I wish that I could do more to eliminate the communication overload. Sometimes we'll have something in our organization at UCF where maybe it's someone did something great and got an article published or it was in the newspaper or something like that, and everyone hits reply all, and I understand why they do that, and says, good job. But it means that I get not one email with the announcement, but 30 emails, all of which I just need to delete. And I don't like to have unread messages in my inbox because I have student emails that I need to make sure that I do respond to, and it just clutters things up. So these are sort of some techniques that I've used in my own life. I think you might be able to apply in your own. I start by the first received, and I schedule my response times around my working life and my personal life so that I don't feel like I need to check emails as soon as they come in. In a busy room or a large room where there's more than one person talking, I've learned that what I need to do to not be overloaded by the amount of communication is simply remove myself from the loud environment. And so I often do that. I just tell people that I have a difficulty in focusing on a particular voice in a large room or a room full of people. And I ask if we could step to the side if it's an important conversation so that I can give them full attention. Usually this doesn't cause any problems at all. In fact, it probably sends the message to the person that I really care about what you're saying and the information you're giving me, and I don't want it to be diluted by my lack of attention because of all these distractions. We just talked about the communication process and how noise is a major factor. I take it upon myself where I am perceiving that there's noise, at least for me in the process, and I try to remove that. Usually people very much respect that and appreciate that, I'm trying my best to really hear what they're saying without distraction. Oftentimes, communication is just, there's just so much in a message I've learned that there's really a skill in scanning content and looking for what pertains to me and getting rid very quickly of things that don't involve me, that are not important for me. One of the tactics that I use, but not near as effective as some people I work with, is to create like folders for email. You can have folders for your communications, your documents on your desktop. Be very organized with that so that instead of discarding information, which makes us feel good because it's off our plate, we might need it later. So if we organize our filing well, we can take information that doesn't seem really critical, but we don't know if we'll need it later, and put it somewhere else. On my desktop, I have sections for my promotion portfolio. I have them, if they're active, I keep them out in kind of more visible. And then I have other kind of clutters of different documents and things like that I know where they are. And if something becomes irrelevant, like it times out and it's not relevant anymore, I put it in a folder. I have one that just says old, and I have one that says @Dean. So the @Dean is more active for me, and then the old just means I probably will never use this, but it's kind of an archive. But I know kind of in what order to go look for information. So one of the keys to information overload is to get it out of your face. And in doing that, there's more options than just deleting it permanently. You can file it away in some kind of an organized manner so that later, if you have no idea where it is, you at least have a systematic approach to going through and finding it. Then, of course, you can use your Windows button or in your mail search, if you can remember a date or a keyword or a subject, not a subject, a line or something like that. You can search those in and put those in the search box and then look through it like that. So those are my suggestions for how you might manage information overload. If you're in a meeting and there's lots of critical information that you want to be able to keep track of, 2 suggestions. The one and most obvious, but also most time consuming, is just use a tape recorder. That's going to take a long time to go through. If it's an hour meeting, you'll have to spend another hour skimming through that, writing down information. So that probably is not your preferred technique, but at least it's a fail-safe. As long as everyone knows that it's being recorded and is okay with that, for sure. But also, oftentimes there's minutes of meetings. And if there aren't, you might suggest to someone in the committee that you keep minutes. Minutes are just a typed out representation of mostly who said what were the key points in the meeting. And they're useful not only for you to keep that information accessible to you, but also so that you and the group can look back and recall what was said. And also you can confirm that that's actually accurate. If something in the meeting minutes from last meeting doesn't seem accurate, you should have the opportunity in the subsequent meeting to say, I'd like to make an amendment or a correction to last week or last month's meeting. I think I was misinterpreted or something was misunderstood or typed wrong. And so we can have accuracy there and document those kinds of things. Hopefully those will help you. Maybe you have your own techniques. But definitely managing information overload is really important because we need to have a clear cognitive structure. We have to have a clear way of understanding a complex working life that has so many variables. And we have to do that in light of the fact that we have busy lives. We have dentist appointments and we have kids volleyball practice. We have so many things to keep track of. How will we do this? Use a calendar, use a schedule. Often when my wife will ask me, what are you doing on this date, or what are you doing next Thursday? I always say, honey, why are you asking me without my calendar in front of me? I have no idea what I'm doing. I may have appointments all day. I don't know. And so, I live by a calendar. She doesn't have exactly the same life, so she doesn't, and that's fine. Works for her. You need to find out what works for you. Definitely managing time management and information overload are concepts that work together and also are both important for your success. You need to know, for instance, this already chapter 11, so I guess hopefully you figured it out by now, but you need to know when your tests are and where they are and when your 5 face-to-face sessions are and all that kind of stuff. You need to keep good track of those things, and that will help free up space in that brain of yours for the things that really matter. All right, good luck with that.